Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Fox on the Ground. I'm Misty Winston, joined by my co-host, Jesse Zerwell. Today, we have a very special guest who's a dear friend of mine. She was just on Bitch last week as well, so you guys should definitely check that out. We talked about cats. It was fun. But she is Liv Romano. She's also the the network director. I'm sorry. I almost called you the executive network director. We need to get you that title. She's the network director for the Populist Voice Network, which is relaunching this week. There's going to be a whole host of new shows coming up this week, so definitely check that out over on Populist Voice. So, Liv, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, y'all. Oh my God, I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to be here.
I feel like you're always just so happy.
I really am. I really, there's a lot of words to describe me, but like some of my favorites are like animated. I am very outgoing and enthusiastic.
Earlier, before we started, I called you all over the place because I was comparing you to myself. I hope you didn't take offense to that because I feel like that's a good thing too.
No, definitely.
Okay, because I'm all over the place too.
Vivacious.
Oh, I like that one too. I'm not really vivacious. I'm too much of an asshole to be vivacious, I think, but you know, I'm not nice enough for that. But I feel like vivacious is for nice people.
You're a vivacious asshole.
I need a shirt. Oh, speaking of shirts, Liv, I wore this. I just got this. I wore this just for you.
How is baby Jack?
Baby Jack is running around somewhere. I don't know where she's at. She was just over here and I was going to try to snatch her, but then she took off scampering away. So she'll be down here eventually when she hears me talking. She's usually right on my ass. So
yeah, her stitches got out well. She's doing great.
Yeah, she hate the process of getting the stitches out. She's not a fan of. We could hear her like when we go into our vet, there's like a row of rooms, and then like behind that is where they have like the doctor has all their stuff, and if they have to do surgeries or whatever, it's in the back. So they took her in the back to take the stitches out and just like check her eye and everything, and we could hear her in the little room that we were in. She was like meowing quite heartily in protest, but they came out great. The doctor is thrilled with how everything looks. Like she is doing amazing. She's healing really well. She's pouncing around, attacking the big cats.
I saw her cuddling with one of your big cats. So cute. So cute.
Dude, I'm not okay. I'm gonna sorry, I talk about cats a lot, but this is a little story that's super cute. So we have this like cat tree. It's like a scratching post, but it's like a tall, I don't know, it's probably like, I don't know, 2.5 feet tall, maybe. And Jack kept trying to climb it and she couldn't figure it out. So Julian, my other cat, that's who she was taking a nap with, went over and like climbed it in front of her a couple times, and then as Jack tried it again, she stood right underneath of her to like make sure she didn't fall. It was the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. I didn't know cats did stuff like that, but they do.
Animals never cease to amaze me.
I know. They are really cool. And it's kind of surprising because Julian is female and is usually just kind of a badass. Like she's kind of like, you know, a typical cat. She does not give a shit about you. You know, like if she wants petting, she'll come over to you, but otherwise just leave her alone. But she is all about Jack. Like they nap together. She grooms her. It's so cute. They're like little best friends and it's so adorable. Okay, enough about cats. I talk about cats too much. Like half of Bitch Wednesday was cats, Jesse.
Always talk about animals, especially cats. Oh my God.
Oh, ridiculous. Okay, so you haven't had anything really going on lately. You've been your life is very boring recently. Nothing's been happening.
Yeah, that sounds about me. Boring.
Yeah.
That's
I know you can't talk about, for those of you that don't know, Liv was recently arrested. We can't really talk about the specifics of that for obvious reasons. She has a court appearance coming up, but I do want to talk about the reason why you were there because it's a great reason to be out there protesting. So why don't you talk a little bit about what's been happening with the water protectors recently over the past few months, and then specifically this week has been kind of intense.
Sure. Okay. So kind of going all the way back to, I want to say like mid last year is when, I wish I could pull it up. Let me see if I can pull up Stop Line 3, is when the water protectors, like throughout, like the Midwest of the United States, because Stop Line 3 or Line 3, which, you know, the big thing right now is Stop Line 3, runs through Canada to Wisconsin. So there have been water protectors, especially mostly indigenous water protectors and allies who have been protesting there, committing civil disobedience there by chaining themselves to machinery to protest the ongoing construction of the pipeline. And so let me see, when when did Pipeline 3 start getting built? Because I think it started it's by Enbridge, which is a Canadian oil company. It goes from Hardisty, Alberta, Canada to Superior, Wisconsin, United States. In the Line 3 pipeline, it was commissioned in December 2019. Yep, construction started in December 2020. So, since then, so late last year, my bad, is when all these arrests started really happening. And before this week, before the beginning of this past week, I believe the most recent number I had seen was that at least 800 people had been arrested for
Jesus
protesting.
Christ.
And I forget what the number is. I haven't seen an exact number for how many people have been sentenced and or have already served time in federal prison for protesting Line 3 and other Indigenous water protectors who are fighting other similar causes with just like all at like the pollution sites where this Line 3 has leaked and caused like turmoil in these communities and completely poisoned and polluted these communities. So that's been going on. Again, this is ongoing. We've been violating treaties for, since the beginning of America, since before we became America, whatever. So this is just yet another thing that we are doing to directly harm Indigenous people. And it's really, it's really so many different things. Disturbing, alarming, disgusting, all these things.
It's bullshit is what it is. It's bullshit.
Yeah, just say it. Yeah, it's bullshit.
Yeah.
The fact that we're even it's 2021, we're still even fucking talking about fossil fuels right now.
I know.
So like that's kind of what I on a personal note, kind of like what got me here is I was in grad school getting my MPH in epidemiology, and I recently decided to pause that because I was starting to go, I have bipolar 1 disorder, and I was starting to flirt with a depressive episode after Biden decided that the IPCC climate report was not sufficient enough evidence to stop the Gulf oil drilling. And then there was 22 species that were declared extinct. And then there was an article that came out saying bats, bumblebees, and butterflies are set to go extinct within the next decade. So all these alarm bells started ringing on me, and I had my psychiatrist's words echoing in my head of, you're having an existential crisis and you need to have behavior modification. So that behavior modification for me was pausing school and focusing all my time and energy on activism and community organizing work. And I made that decision like a few weeks ago. And since then, the climate crisis is a really huge, important issue to me because that is, literally affects every other issue. So I think whenever you're talking about another issue, you can always tie back to the climate crisis. So that's like my central focus right now, because nothing else matters if we're all dead and don't have a planet to live on. So that's always been like front and center in my mind. And I knew that this past week coming up, Monday, October 11th to the 15th, was the People vs. Fossil Fuels protest in Washington, D.C. to try and get President Biden to declare a climate emergency and take appropriate actions to just fucking save us, all of us. So that started on Monday, October 11th. And right from the beginning, on the first day, these Indigenous water protectors and allies were illegally arrested by Biden's Secret Service for peacefully protesting. And that continued, and the brutality that ensued and continued, consisting of use of tasers. I believe pepper spray was used, just general beatings with punches, I believe batons were used. Just rough manhandling, just all the police brutality being infected,
cops being cops.
Yep, being pigs. And all against these people protesting within their First Amendment rights to save their land, our humanity, to save ourselves. And Joe Biden has made it perfectly clear he is not interested in that. Perfectly clear, because now this time has passed. And that whole week they just went through with arresting these protesters. So I'm sure now they did at least 1,000 arrests this week. So now we're at probably close to like 2,000 who have been arrested for this cause. And so to me, that signaled the time for peaceful protesting is over. And that's, again, not my decision. That was Joe Biden's decision when he backed the Secret Service on these indigenous water protectors and allies for peacefully protesting and being completely within their First Amendment right.
We've seen a ramp up of that over the past. I mean, it's always happened. Briefly before we started, we were talking a little bit about Occupy, but it happened during Occupy. It happened during peaceful Black Lives Matter protests. I've been at protests where people have been completely peaceful, and the cops come in, and the cops are what makes it violent. The cops are the one that come in and start antagonizing and start, trying to get things heated, and they start, launching insults, and they start yelling in people's faces. And I mean, you're right. It's not the protesters who are making things violent at all.
And
Let's be clear.
earlier this year, the Biden administration came out with its guidelines for who constitutes a domestic violent extremist, or
literally everybody.
Domestic terrorist is probably more appropriate to how they refer to them. And they are ramping that up every single day. And we're seeing it now with the FBI being sicked on parents who, shame on them, want to know what their kids are learning in school. And so what you just described, Liv, is, I think, almost certainly part of that, and is going to accelerate.
And the attacks on the First Amendment. I mean, you talked about how our right to protest has been under attack for a long time, but over the past 10 or 15 years, that has been ramped up exponentially. And it's not just, I mean, we see what's happening to Julian Assange, but there are anti-protest laws all across the country. There are 4 right now in the state of Ohio. There were 12 in Oklahoma. I haven't been following that, but that's crazy. 12 anti-protest bills in one state. I haven't been following them. I need to go back and take a look and see where, because they were all in different stages of, development or whatever. But there's anti-BDS laws that are popping up. There's people are losing their jobs for not professing loyalty to Israel. It's crazy what's happening right now. And it's really weird because it seems like most people don't really give a shit. And a lot of it, I think, is that people aren't aware of what's happening. Like, they're not paying attention. The First Amendment is kind of an abstract concept. It's not something that's in your face every day. Like, your right to protest isn't in your face every day for you to notice, unless you're an active protester, unless you're an activist who's on the ground all the time. But most everyday people, it's not something that they're even paying attention to. And they're losing it. We're losing it. In fact, we're handing it away. Really, that's essentially what it boils down to. Is we're not just losing it. We're actively, a lot of people are actively cheering on the destruction of the First Amendment in broad daylight. They're not hiding it.
What sorts of charges are being brought against protesters?
I think most of it is resisting arrest, because I didn't actually see anything that instigated a reason why they should be arrested in the first place.
No.
They were on, I believe, public property. I'm sure they had permits, whatever. They were completely within all their rights to do so. There was nothing wrong. Watch all of it, all videos. It's all peaceful. They're doing sit-ins and stuff. This brutality was unleashed by the Capitol Police, the Secret Service. It's all of them. It's all of them. And it's not just our right to protest, it's our freedom of speech. And think of the censorships that's happening on Twitter, on YouTube. This is an attack on us that we can feel every single moment of every day if you pay attention. If you get yourself out of what mainstream media is saying, what's portraying, and you just focus on wow, Twitter saying we're gonna ban vaccine misinformation. keep saying that and like giving you like all those checks. Like, you want to share? You sure you want to say that? Like,
right? Yes, I'm sure I want to say fuck you. Yes, I'm sure. I tweeted it, like I typed it out. I'm sure that's what I want to say, Twitter. Thank you. I don't need you to be my mother. It's insane what's happening. And YouTube is extremely bad. Franco just got taken down. Slow News Day was taken down. Convo Couch was taken down. Obviously, these are all my friends, so that's who I know about. But I'm sure that it's affecting other people. And it's been getting progressively worse over the past. I mean, I would say over the past year, it's really started to ramp up. Now it's to the point where if you even like, if you speak outside the approved narrative on COVID-19, then you have a very good chance that your channel will be shut down entirely. That's insanity, because the official narrative on COVID-19 has changed a multitude of times, and things that were once like considered conspiracy theorists, like vaccine passports, are now like an everyday part of conversation. And you know, Last American Vagabond lost his channel months ago for talking about vaccine passports, and here we are. Where we may have to have vaccine passports. And it's crazy that this is what's happening. And again, nobody's paying attention. And a lot of people, it's really difficult because if somebody's not an environmental activist, they may not care about like it's not my thing, so I don't really care. But what people don't understand is, and what I try to impress upon people, is that this affects literally every fight we have. If we cannot actively share information, inform people, educate people, talk to people, educate people, we can't fight for anything. How are you going to fight for anything if we don't have free speech and the freedom of information? It's an impossible task.
And they're cracking down on that because they know that. They're cracking down on that as we speak.
Yeah. And you're right. It's because they do know that. They know that when people get organized and educated, that's a problem. And that's why they're cracking down on it. This is like the desperate grasps of a failing empire to remain relevant. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to get incredibly bad. I mean, imagine this is the most powerful empire the world has ever seen. And it is now backed into a corner and is a wounded animal. It's going to get so bad. I mean, I don't think people are ready for what's coming, really. I really don't think people are ready, because this is just the beginning of it. I mean, these, violent attacks on peaceful protesters and the attacks on the First Amendment and the anti-protest laws and all of that stuff, that's like the beginning. We haven't even gotten into the bad stuff yet. It's going to be bad. People are going to like start getting arrested for tweets.
And I'm sure the squad was there to stand in solidarity with you.
Always.
But it has to be pointed out, the Green New Deal is their operation, right? And we all know how unauthentic.
So was Medicare for All. They didn't show up to the marches.
So was force the vote.
They didn't do anything for that either.
Yeah.
But what's so glaring there is that there's all this attention still on January 6th, and there are hearings going down with regard to it, and the squad is fully invested in that. And here is something that's happening in real time every day that's basically it's in line with what they campaigned on, and they're completely silent. And we all know by now that the squad is full of shit. But this is just
most of us know.
This is one more glaring example of that.
There are some people who are still big mad for people.
They're nowhere to be found. They're not even speaking about it. They're not tweeting about it.
No, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez went to the Met Gala, right? In her stupid little dress, right? There's a Black Lives Matter protest happening right outside with people being violently arrested, peaceful protesters being violently arrested because of a police brutality issue that happened in her district, which she still hasn't even spoke on. And she's in there hobnobbing with, millionaires and celebrities. That is the perfect example of who she is. She's a brand. She's not a leader. She's not a revolutionary. She's not even a progressive, really. She is a quintessential liberal. And it's sad to me that people are still holding on to hope that she's or that Bernie Sanders, somebody got real mad at me the other day because I told Bernie Sanders said, please get vaccinated. And I retweeted it with please retire. And everybody's like, oh yeah, you can't take this person seriously if you blah, blah, blah. Are you kidding me? Like, you're still like trying to pretend like we have to respect Bernie Sanders? Really? That's what you're doing? I mean, it's painful. They don't give a shit about you. Bernie Sanders, somebody got mad because I said Bernie Sanders is not a good person. He's not a good person. Good people are not friends with Joe Biden. They don't sell out their supporters and endorse the human embodiment of everything they claim to stand against twice. He did it twice.
Well,
I mean,
you're looking too much at the macro. You got to look at the micro.
oh, those are just the knowns. We got to look at the unknowns. God damn it. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez quoted Donald Rumsfeld. Do I need to say anything else? I mean, come on. I'm still waiting for her Colin Powell tweet. Colin Powell died today. Everybody, we're filming this on the day that Colin Powell died. So that's good news for today. Another war criminal gone. Just too bad he didn't get to spend any time in The Hague before he died. That's the only thing I'm sad about. Oh God, I'm so sick of I'm really just sick of progressives. I really am. Like, I know people get really mad because I spend a lot of time going after progressives. Why don't you talk about Republicans? Really? Do I need to? Republicans like show you who they are. I don't need to like go into yes, they're racist and they're like really you need me to explain that to you? Progressives are the much bigger threat in my opinion. They are the much bigger threat. That's the wolf in sheep's clothing. They're very good at what they do. They've convinced a lot of people that they are these champions for women and people of color and they're these bastions of revolutionaries and no. They are dangerous. They are very look at what they've done. They've managed to take all of this legitimate anger and revolutionary energy and channel it back into a party that's designed to kill us. They're very good. It's scary.
Yeah, and the labels essentially mean nothing anymore, Republican or Democrat. If you read the Times' obituary for Colin Powell, it notes in there that he threw his support behind Obama in 2008. So they switch sides depending on what's convenient to their power, to their retaining their power and their
donors.
I was just gonna say, who's paying?
Yeah.
Who's paying?
Yeah, that's all it is. Like it's
and
that's really all that it is.
They're good standing in the Beltway.
Yeah, and there really isn't a difference. Like I say it all the time, it's like high school with psychopaths. And of course there are cliques, there are different circles of people. Like big oil gives more money to Republicans, generally speaking. They do give some to Democrats too, but generally speaking, they give more to Republicans. Big tech gives more to Democrats than they do Republicans. They do give some to Republicans. They cover their asses. They make sure to go both ways so that whoever gets into office, they're going to be safe. But there are some cliques and whatever. But for the most part, these people are all owned and operated by the exact same people. They're all working towards the same agenda. They may have a different way about going there. The only thing that's different is the rhetoric. That's it. The packaging. They pander to different people. That's all.
Yep.
And it's, to me, the progressives are the far more dangerous enemy, in my opinion. And people get big mad at me for saying that. I don't care. It's the truth.
I agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
I just can't express enough how much damage they've done. Bernie Sanders really started it. Oh God, I fucking hate that guy, dude. I used to like Bernie Sanders. I voted for Bernie Sanders. I phone banked for Bernie Sanders. I donated to Bernie Sanders. I did all the things, right? I cannot fucking stand that guy. He makes me sick. Yep. He's disgusting. Yeah. I tell this story all the time, but when I volunteered a couple times, I would meet people who would like skip meals to give him $10 a week. Like people were literally skipping meals to send him money. And then he's given all of the information necessary to put up a legitimate fight based on the fact that he was 100% cheated in the primary and he just walked off the field. And that's not okay with me. That right there. Yes. That right there. People try to say, oh, but he's a good person. He's doing the best he can. No, he's not a good person. Nope. Good people don't do that.
Nope.
Good people don't do that.
And this past year, he took in, I know it's not that big as far as totals go, for campaign contributions, and supposedly these were individual donors total together, but he still took almost $50,000 worth of donations from Pfizer, I believe it was. So
Joe Biden got the most from Big Pharma.
Yeah, Joe Biden got almost $500,000.
Israel.
Yeah, Joe. Yeah. Oh God. I mean, there's that video of Joe Biden saying you don't have to be Jewish to be a Zionist. I'm a proud Zionist. I mean, he's never made any.
He's right though.
He's absolutely right. There are plenty of non-Jewish Zionists out there, 100%. But he's never tried to hide it, and he's always been in the pocket of the credit card companies and big pharma. That's his two big ones. What they used to call him when he was in Delaware, the credit card senator or something, I don't remember. But he's like known for it. He's a known, they're all known scumbags, but that's why I say that like a Bernie Sanders or an AOC or an Ilhan Omar, they're dangerous because they've convinced people that they're good and they're decent and they're kind and they're looking out for us and they're trying their very best, and they're not.
Because it's like, but this is the thing that's so frustrating though, because it's like, people look at their voting records, like look at their voting records and look at their open secrets and look at where they're getting their fund from. The evidence is there. Open your fucking eyes. Like, take responsibility.
Jesse brings this up all the time. One of AOC's very first votes, I think it was her first vote, was voting to expand NATO. That should have been a giant red flag. Yeah. But then again, I think a lot of progressives are imperialists, so I don't think they care. I don't think that's their thing. I don't think that it bothers them that she kicked the can down the road on a coup in Venezuela. Like literally, what'd she say? I defer to caucus leadership or some shit like that. And that's after Max Blumenthal cornered her in the halls of Congress. And she was like, we're working on a statement. You have to work on a statement. It's a coup, sis. Just be like, coups are bad. There's my statement. It's not that hard. It's really not that complicated.
Yeah. But, well, based on her post Iron Dome vote statement, it's probably good that she didn't really come out with a statement.
One, right? The biggest
one. Well, I'm not surprised at all.
I'm not either, but the bullshit way she tried to spin that though, was offensive. That's offensive.
Well, her attempt to explain it afterward made no sense, as we all saw. And
as you said, the macro in the micro.
Well, she did that interview, but then she put out like that 4-page statement. Salad. It was a word salad. There wasn't even an explanation in there. She didn't even explain why she voted no. There was no explanation whatsoever. Your vote didn't matter, and yet somehow you still went along with the party. Like Nancy Pelosi gets in your face, and then you cry. Like, I don't give a shit about your tears. What do you think? How do you think the Palestinians feel? I'm pretty sure there's some Palestinian children like sobbing on a daily basis because they're terrified. I don't give a shit about your tears. Like she uses this attempt to manipulate people into feeling sorry for her, to feeling bad for her, and it's gross. It makes me sick. It is so gross. Oh. And the whole thing that the Margaret Hoover, is that her name, Jesse? Margaret Hoover?
Yeah.
Margaret Hoover? Okay. The interview that she did an interview with this chick. Was it PBS?
It was on PBS in the summer of 2018. So shortly after, I believe, shortly after AOC won her first term. And she was asked by Margaret Hoover about what she had said leading up to that with regard to Palestine, and just
it was gross.
Basic
she
human
did
rights.
This. I'll show you. This is exactly
human
what
rights
she did
for Palestinians, and she.
I'm not an expert on these things. She has a degree in international relations,
but she stuttered and backtracked and had no faculties as far as clearly explaining a position. And right then, this was the time when people like Glenn Greenwald were interviewing her, and a lot of the so-called left was fawning over her. And I didn't know what to think at that point because I didn't know enough about her. I hadn't seen and read enough. But when I saw that was a huge red flag for me. And then shortly after that, her first vote for NATO. And even at that time, people were saying, you got to give her a chance. It's not the right time to strike.
I was doing that. I was like, okay, she's new. She's got to kind of like wiggle her way in first and make some inroads, and then she can like come out swinging. But then she praised John McCain as like an example of human decency. And then she was like Mama Bear Nancy Pelosi. And I'm like, okay, she's not who we thought she was. I gave her a chance. I legitimately did. People get so angry at me because I'm hard on her, but I gave her a chance.
Same.
I was really, really nice to her. I tweeted at her multiple times. I donated to her campaign. I was cautiously optimistic.
Yep.
And I was wrong. And
Yep.
I'll admit it, I was wrong. And I
Yep.
will never, ever. She's the straw that broke Misty's back. That's it.
Same.
I'm
We're
done.
big
I'm
people
done.
for admitting that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, she's the one that proved to me that it does not matter. Anybody that gets elected is going to go along to get along, period. The system isn't changeable. It changes you. That's just the way it works. I wish more people would realize that, because I mean, just today with Colin Powell dying, Charles Booker, Jamal Bowman, they're all coming out with these fawning tweets about Colin Powell. And I'm like, he's a fucking war criminal.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You don't have to, like, if you want to say like my condolences to his friends and family, that's all you need. That's it. That's all you need. You don't have to say, like Jamal Bowman said something about, as a young Black man trying to figure out the world, he was an inspiration. He's an inspiration? What are you talking about? He's a horrible person. He lied us into a disastrous war that killed millions of Iraqis. And what are you talking about? Find better It's like Ilhan Omar with Margaret Thatcher. Find better role models, people. What the hell is going on? I mean, there's lots of people, leftists, to look up to. Margaret Thatcher?
I think a big part of the problem is that these so-called leftists and progressives, they don't know history. They don't know.
Oh yeah.
They don't know the details of, or the resumes of the people they're talking about. They know what they've seen and read superficially, and they parrot that. Or even worse, they do know, and they're whitewashing the histories of these people.
That's a lot of it. Yeah, because I don't think that they're dumb. I think that they know. I think that they know exactly. They're well educated. They know exactly what they're doing. I think they're trying to play both sides. Ilhan Omar looking up to Mark, and she tried to use feminist reasons for looking up to Margaret Thatcher. And I'm like, she destroyed the lives of women. What are you talking about? You make no sense. This is not a feminist hero. Like, really, Margaret Thatcher, some feminist icon? Well, she was able to like get a position of power. Yes, in a completely disgusting system in which she like thoroughly involved herself in and became part of that disgusting system, which oppressed millions of millions of women all over that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's this identity politics bullshit that they try to use to gain support. And it's like, anybody with half a brain cell knows that Margaret Thatcher was a terrible human being and is absolutely, nobody should be looking up to her. Nobody, especially not a quote unquote leftist. Oh, it's really frustrating. I don't understand why people are still defending these people. Oh, I'm tired.
Margaret Thatcher was a strong woman. What are you talking about?
Yo, there are plenty of strong women who didn't oppress other women and who didn't destroy economies and crush countries and commit war crimes. There are lots of strong women to look up to. There are lots. If she needs a list of examples, I can give her some examples. She doesn't have to look up to Margaret Thatcher.
But Margaret Thatcher protected the Falkland Islands, which, as you know, are very close to Great Britain.
Yes. All praise Margaret Thatcher. God damn it. These are our leftists, you guys. This is why we're screwed. These are our leftists.
Have they ever even has the squad even ever said they're leftists? Because I believe all they've ever said are they progressives.
Progressive. They've used democratic socialist. AOC tossed out the word socialist a few times, which made me laugh hysterically. She is nowhere near a socialist. She might be a little DSA, because DSA is essentially just another arm of the Democratic Party. So I'll give her that. I'll give her DSA. She can have that. But yeah, she's not a socialist. And I don't know that they've ever labeled themselves as leftists. They certainly try to put on that facade. They speak the language of leftism. But that's exactly what sheepdogs do. They speak the language, and they manipulate, and then they lead you back into, again, this is the Democratic Party. What happened to the reform? Does anybody know? Because they're worse now than they've ever been. Bernie Sanders was supposed to be reforming this party, and they're worse now than they've ever been.
Yeah.
They elected Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Captain Crime Bill. And this is your reform. You failed. They failed. You failed, Bernie. You did not reform shit. Not a damn thing. And this is what, 5 years? We're 5 years now, because he started in 2016. We're going to reform the party. We're going to reform the Democratic Party into a party of the people. How's that working? How's that working out? We can't even get, a really terrible Build Back Better bullshit bill passed. They can't even get that. They're capitulating on that, and it's a terrible bill.
Yep.
Oh, good God. We are really and truly screwed. I hate to be a negative Nancy, but
well,
we
that's
really
where
are.
it kind of brings us back to here. Well, that's where it leaves us after, you know, especially the events that just happened this past week. Peaceful protesting is over. That's over because the violence is already being perpetrated against us, and it's not violence to meet violence with violence. It's self-defense.
Yeah. And that's where we're at. This
Yep.
is about self-defense at this point.
It's
It
self-defense.
really is.
And we need to be talking about that more.
And we need to get serious, legitimately serious about strikes. There are a lot happening right now. Support the shit out of all of them that are happening.
Yeah.
Whatever you have to do, even if it's just like sharing information or fundraising information or whatever. Somebody said it's Striketober. Let's go. We need
I know. I love it.
Yeah. The economy is all they care about. That's all. If we can hit their bottom line, we can get some stuff done.
Yeah.
That's because that's all they care about. That is it. That's it. So yeah, the strikes, I know that CJ has got the General Strike Summit coming up in November. That's going to be awesome. But we really do need to get serious about that. And mutual aid's a huge part of that. I know you do a ton of mutual aid. Maybe you should talk a little bit about that, like the mutual aid stuff that you do, because I would like to inspire more people to get involved in that.
Yeah. I would love to, because I know for so many people, like the concept of mutual aid is new. It was new to me, even though it's something I've always been doing because it's so innate to human nature. But the concept of mutual aid, let's talk about that, because so many different things can be mutual aid. So like for me, what I do is I get supplies, like we do a Sam's Club trip, get supplies like socks, hand sanitizer, protein shakes, granola bars, soaps, deodorant, pads, disinfecting wipes, baby wipes, and some other things. And I make kits, put them in gallon size Ziploc bags, and make kits to distribute to unhoused people that I see throughout my communities. But that's just what I thought of for what I could best do for mutual aid. But there's also like taking people to appointments, running errands for them, like co-op babysitting. There's so many different forms of mutual aid. Just getting involved with your community is mutual aid.
Yes.
There's so many.
It's just helping your neighbor. That's it.
Yeah.
However you can.
Yep.
It's really simple.
However
grow food and share it. Grow food and share it. If somebody else grows food and they bring you a bunch of tomatoes, then make some like sauce or whatever and can it and then hand it out. Like you said, co-op babysitting is a great thing. Clothing swaps, or I've done teacher baskets where I go, like when school supplies are on sale after school starts, go and buy a shit ton of school supplies, put them in a basket, take it to a school, give it to them. They'll love you. Teachers spend a lot of money out of pocket on supplies. It's not okay. But like just little things like that are just such a huge, in your community can be such a huge difference. It sounds like something so small. I ran a mutual aid group here in my local community for several years. It's hard, like to run a group. It's hard. I'm not gonna lie. It was very time consuming. That's why I stopped doing it. I had 2 young kids at the time. It was probably not the right time for me to take something like that on, but I ran it for like 5 years. We adopted families for Christmas. We paid people's utility bills that were about to get shut off. We bought diapers for people, groceries. People would just donate to one central funding, and then I would go out and do whatever needed to be done, and then show receipts for whatever was paid for. If I would write a check, I can remember one time a lady was about to get her water bill turned off. Senior citizens, we went and we paid her water bill. It's just like little things like that. And if you can find like a few of your neighbors to come together and form like a coalition, and then you can bounce ideas off of each other, and you can find people to help. And it's so easy. Because everybody can help somebody,
Yep. And if you don't want to, because like what you said, it is very time consuming to run and organize a mutual aid group yourself, just Google mutual aid near me. And I promise you, you will find, hi Zulu, you will find some stuff, like plenty of stuff near you, local, within your community, within the state, within, there's even nation, international, like we're trying to get this, like, because if we want these general strikes, these strikes, October, whatever we want to call this, we want this to be successful, we need to have an established mutual aid network.
A huge one.
Yep.
A huge one. But you don't even have to, like, if you're not a joiner, If you don't like I know a lot of people don't really like to join groups and they're like kind of socially awkward. I'm that way. You don't have to, like Liv said, just go to, like, if you can go to Sam's Club or Costco or whatever, buy a bunch of supplies that you think that would be, Tylenol, Band-Aids, pads are a huge one, socks, all of that stuff, whatever you think that somebody who's unhoused could use. Chewing gum's good, little candies, whatever. Put it in a bag and then go and it's, y'all, I live in a tiny, like a small town in Ohio. I see homeless people all the time. It's unbelievable. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. The epidemic is everywhere. So surely you can find some people that you can, give a hand up to on any given day. Or, just even if it's just as silly as like in the summertime, mowing your elderly neighbors' yards for free. Just do it. Just go. If you have a lawnmower, go around and ask people, hey, do you need your grass mowed? If you got a free Saturday, spend a few hours and go mow some grass for people.
Yeah.
It's just, just neighbors helping neighbors.
Yep.
Nobody's coming to save us.
Yeah. There's no wrong way to do mutual aid unless you're doing it expecting something in return.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's that easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And those groups and networks are going to become even more important than they are now, with what we talked about earlier, with the way almost anybody now who opposes even the smallest thing that the US government is doing can be labeled as a domestic violent extremist, aka a domestic terrorist. And as the vaccine mandates and passports, as that hammer comes down harder and harder, for people who want to resist being sucked into that network that they're trying to build, where everything about your life is digitized, we're going to have to rely on communities of mutual aid, cash-based communities, things that exist outside the system that they're trying to herd us into.
Yeah.
And that goes for protesting, environmental protesting. It goes for any kind of dissident action that you're taking at this point, because they're really trying to consolidate that power. And, we need to rely not just on our own skills to get by and resist that, but those of others as well.
It's going to take all of us.
Yeah. And
it's going to take all of us.
And like you said, Liv, we can't do it expecting some sort of payback for our good deeds, because it's not about that. It's really about survival in the end.
Yeah. And I also hate when people people will give Rome shit because he tweets about his mutual aid work, but that's a good thing. He inspires people. People are like, oh, you're just doing it for the attention, or you're just a grifter or whatever. I don't know if y'all have seen what Rome does, but he feeds people. He on a regular basis, he clothes people. He, gets diapers for his communities that, are struggling to even, can you imagine? I'm a mother. I have 2 kids. There are mothers who can't afford diapers, and their baby has to sit in the same soiled diaper all day long because they cannot afford them. And that causes a whole host of health issues for the baby. And that's, to me, it breaks me. It breaks me to think of being a mother and being in a position where I can't afford to take care of my child. And Rome is doing something about that. And he's not, I don't think Rome's doing it for the attention. I don't think he's doing it because it's the right thing to do. And I love that he tweets about it because it's inspired a whole host of people. I've seen it where people get on his timeline and they're like, you've inspired me. I've started doing this. Or like you just said, you were inspired by Rome. I think a lot of people have been inspired by Rome. So tweet about that shit. Like that. I don't think that means that you want credit or you want attention or no, that just means, hey, look, this is what I'm able to do in my community. You can do it too. Like I'm just a person. I can do it. You can do it. Everybody can do this. So, I don't do a ton of mutual aid right now. Like I'll donate to people's GoFundMes and stuff. I would like to get back into being more active on mutual aid. Maybe once the Assange stuff, hopefully winds down, hopefully we'll get him out or something. There'll be some kind of something that happens.
Well, you want to talk about that? Cause that's big coming up.
That's huge coming up. I'm sick about it. I'm sick about it.
Well, I just want to add to the mutual aid conversation that I think if you are participating in mutual aid in any way, that you should advertise it and promote it, because as obvious as it seems to us and to a lot of people, there are still a lot of people out there who aren't aware of it. but when you present it to them, it clicks and it makes
Mhm.
sense, as you'd expect it to. And so, the more people we can make aware of that, the better.
Yeah.
The more people will wake up to the fact that that's really where we need to start pointing ourselves
Yeah, I
toward.
think Liv said, like, because when I first started doing it, I had never heard the term mutual aid before, years ago. And it, like you said, it's just like this. I think a majority of human beings, cooperation is like just a part of who we are. Like, we understand that we can't do everything on our own. They've tried to kind of train that out of us with the whole bootstraps mentality and the whole individualism and all of that stuff. But you cannot get through this life on your own. It's just not possible. Nobody can, nobody does. Jeff Bezos doesn't. I mean, we all rely on each other, and not just on each other, like the current human populace, but the people that came before us.
Yeah.
So we're all part of a bigger picture. And I think most humans understand that on like a subconscious level. So it doesn't even matter. Like, you don't have to call it mutual aid. You don't have to call it anything. Just help each other however you can. If you see somebody that needs something, or if you hear about somebody that needs something, do what you can to help them. It's really that simple. And I get it. Like, everybody's in a really bad position financially right now, and mutual aid activism in general can be pretty expensive. But even just as simple as like sharing somebody's link or their event or their whatever, that's massive. Just getting more eyes on those kinds of things is a huge deal. Because like Jesse said, the more people that see it, the more people that it clicks for, and the more people who might get involved, and then the more people who maybe are able to donate will see it and then can donate. So even just sharing, I feel like a lot of people feel bad because they can't participate as actively, maybe, and you shouldn't. That's what mutual aid's about. And then one day when you're in a better position, somebody who helped you may need some help, and then it's a circle. You just keep helping each other. And that's the beauty of it, really.
Yeah, and it's not just about sharing money or financial resources. It's about sharing your skills. It's about what you can bring to the table. If you're a cook and you can make food and share that with people who are hungry, that's one example.
There's Jack.
Hey.
Liv loves Jack.
I love Jack and all Misty's cats. I love all animals.
Yeah. She was so funny. The first time Jack ever appeared on camera was on FHL. We were doing a general strike, like a round table, just like discussing ideas, like brainstorming. And I have a screenshot of, and Liv's reaction is like the best. It's the best. It's so funny. Yeah. Jack's cute.
Cute.
We love Jack. That's mutual aid, helping out animals. That's mutual aid. Everybody that donated to Jack's GoFundMe to get her eye surgery, you just did mutual aid, fam. You helped out a little nugget. And now look at her. She's like thriving, living her best life, spoiled as shit.
Love it. Love to see it.
Yeah. So that's mutual aid, even just helping out our little furry friends.
Right. And I would say it costs $0 to retweet and share, y'all. Like, there's no excuse. And have you ever heard of good karma? Like, come on. Just spread kindness. It's really that easy. And even also I'll also say retweeting it with like #mutual aid request. That does help it. Not only are you doing that, but you're helping it get more notice when you do share it. So
I do think that they shadow ban a lot of those tweets, though. I'm not kidding, because a friend of mine tried to start a mutual aid, an online decentralized mutual aid network nationwide. She may still be working on it. I should ask her. But I forget what it's called. Oh, I'm so bad. Oh, dang it. Something to do with mushrooms. I forget. Damn it. But anyway, she's like was trying to start this group, and every time that she would tweet something with the words mutual aid in it, it would get no engagement. But her other tweets about like her kid doing something stupid would get like a ton of engagement. So it's just like Assange tweets are shadow banned. So yeah, I mean, yes, maybe tweet it with mutual aid, but maybe not. Like, maybe try it. See if you think that it gets hit, because they're really coming down hard on social media. It's really getting bad.
Yeah, I'm really glad that Frances Haugen is there to saved the day.
God, stop calling her a whistleblower. She is not a whistleblower. And as somebody who loves whistleblowers, it's offensive to me that she's calling herself a whistleblower. She's not a whistleblower. She is a deep state spook who is a plant who is only there to manufacture consent for more censorship. And we don't need more censorship. It's literally the last thing we need is more censorship. Let's not do that.
Yep.
Censorship is bad. I don't know how many times I have to say that. Censorship is very, very bad.
Yeah.
Censorship does nothing but empower the powerful. That's it. They control the narrative. We do not want these people controlling the narrative.
Yep.
I mean, how many times do they have to show you that they are complete psychopaths who will lie you into war after war after war?
She has her own website now. Did you know that?
Of course she does. Dude, she was on Twitter for like 5 seconds and got a blue check and like 50,000 followers. Like in like 5 seconds.
I haven't checked out her site yet. I've been meaning to, but what the fuck could possibly be on there?
I don't know.
Is she offering consulting services now?
No, it's just more. It'll be manufacturing consent for more censorship. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be lamenting about how there's not enough censorship on Facebook and how that they're doing a disservice to democracy and all that bullshit. I guarantee you that's what it's going to be. That's the censorship push coming from big tech is not an accident. It is wholly coordinated. The government is 100%. I'm so tired of people pretending like they are private companies. They are not private companies. There is no gray area between Facebook and our government. There is no gray area between Twitter and our government. They are one and the same. There's a revolving door of people who work at Twitter, then they go work on political campaigns, then they go back to Twitter. I mean, I think that Kamala Harris's communications director used to be some big wig at Twitter or some shit. Like it's this revolving door. They are completely intertwined. I get that maybe technically, legally, they're considered private companies, but they are not private companies. They are your government, period. Yep. I mean, the Atlantic Council, hello, Facebook, Henry Kissinger sits on that board. And that's who's advising Twitter or advising Facebook on who should get to have the right to free speech and not. That's who you want? No, that's not okay. And it's just really bizarre to me that so many people are willing to make excuses for these tech giants and allow them to censor us. It's not okay. You don't combat bad ideas by just silencing them. That doesn't make those ideas go away.
Yep.
It just makes those ideas more powerful, really.
And if you really get into the history of Facebook, for instance, if you read and listen to Whitney Webb's work, Facebook is essentially a project of DARPA, and it's out there for us to profile ourselves for the powers that be, so that they can use that information to implement all the things that we're seeing now, all this push for making our lives completely digital and making our society one that's based on a social credit score. That's the primary function of all these social media platforms.
Yeah. I'm trying to find the quote because Julian Assange has an amazing quote about Facebook. But it is essentially, hold on, let me see if I can find it because I don't want to mess it up. Oh my God, if I could type, that'd be helpful. Good Lord. Okay. Facebook in particular, quote, Facebook in particular is the most appalling spying machine that has ever been invented. Here we have the world's most comprehensive database about people, their relationships, their names, their addresses, their locations, and the communications with each other, their relatives, all sitting within the United States, all accessible to US intelligence. Facebook, Google, Yahoo, all these major US organizations have built-in interfaces for US intelligence. It's not a matter of serving a subpoena. They have an interface that they have developed for US intelligence to use. And that was in 2014. Dude was warning us about Facebook in 2014.
Wow.
They're using it. It's just another method of spying. That's why I got the hell off of Facebook. I don't go on Facebook anymore at all. Ever since Cambridge Analytica, I haven't been, I'll go on like once every 4 months and be like proof of life status update, and I'm gone. I bounce because that's what they do. They just use it to spy on you and your relationships, and that's how they know. That's how they're able to sell all those targeted ads. They're able to manipulate your buying and all of that stuff. I mean, shit. I know that it sounds conspiratorial, but we've all had this experience. My husband had this experience one time. He was I think it was about talking about chiropractors. Didn't type it in or anything. Was just talking about it in the presence of his smartphone. And then the next time he got on his smartphone, all of his ads were about chiropractors.
Yeah.
And that happens all the time. They're listening, they're spying, they have all of your emails, your text messages, your phone calls, your Facebook DMs, they have all of that stuff. And you don't know shit about them. They're doing everything behind closed doors in the dark, and they know everything there is to know about you. And that needs to be flipped. That needs to be flipped. People should have privacy. Power should not at all.
Yep. Agreed. Fully agreed. Transparency is key.
Yes. But yeah, as we wrap up, I will talk about Julian Assange just briefly because
yes, please.
We need to talk about as much as humanly possible before the 27th and 28th. There are 2 court dates on the 27th and 28th in London at 9 a.m. both days. There are multiple protests all around the globe. Follow Candles for Assange. Find a protest in your area. Be a protest in your area. If you want help promoting it, we got you. If you want a graphic for it, we got you. If you want help finding other people in your area to protest with, I'll help you. Like, we'll help you. Whatever you need, we'll do it. We need a massive push. We need a massive push. This is it. This is it. This is it. This is where the U.S. appeal will be heard, and they will decide whether or not the extradition ruling will stand or not, which they ruled against extradition in January. And we will find out what happens from here. There will probably be a whole other host of reasons that they're going to kick the can down the road. There will be more appeals and more bullshit. Because as Julian Assange himself released years ago in the Stratford Files, this is exactly what they meant to do to handle him, to tie him up in legal cases for the next 25 years so that he is no longer a threat to them. That's what they're doing. It's terrifying. He shouldn't even be there. He shouldn't even be there. Journalism's not a crime. War crimes are crimes.
He's not a U.S. citizen.
Yeah, that's another good point. We talked about that on Bitch. A lot of people don't know that. And because I'm so deep in it, I forget sometimes that people don't know that he's not a U.S. citizen. He's not a U.S. citizen. He's Australian. He's never been a U.S. citizen. WikiLeaks has never been a U.S. corporation or a company or a publication. It's not the U.S. This is the U.S. seeking global jurisdiction over information and journalism. Period. End of story. That is exactly what's happening.
Another violation of freedom of speech of our First Amendment.
This is a huge one. This is a precedent-setting historical attack on press freedom, freedom of speech of the First Amendment. There's no coming back from this. If Julian Assange is allowed to be extradited, that sets a precedent that I don't know how we come back from. I don't know how we come back from that. That then means that the United States can arrest anybody, anytime, anywhere who publishes or says anything that they don't like. And because the First Amendment is kind of it applies to everybody, that doesn't just mean journalists. That means anybody. Like, if I tweet something that they don't like, they technically could come and arrest me and throw me in a supermax prison in ADX Florence. And that, y'all, that's not good. That's not good.
Is that not horrifying?
That's to me, it's terrifying. And I don't know why more people are not freaked out. And I don't know why more people are not like, just I get that there's been a decade-long smear campaign against Julian Assange. They've done a very good job at like demonizing him and dehumanizing him to make so that people don't care. But when you strip all of that away and look at just like the facts of what's happening here, that's fucking terrifying. And people don't seem to get it. And it's really weird to me, honestly, and frustrating. I'm frustrated that I can't find the words to make people understand how serious this is, because it's I don't know if it gets much more serious than this.
Yeah,
and it's not just Julian. I mean, Craig Murray's in prison right now. Daniel Hale's in prison right now. Joshua Schultz is still in prison, despite the fact that his first trial ended in a hung jury. They're still keeping him in prison, despite the fact that in court they admitted that they have no way of proving that he's the Vault 7 whistleblower. And he's still in a prison under special administrative measures, which is basically like being thrown in a hole and forgotten about. And it's crazy.
And the U.S. just kidnapped Alex Saab from Cape Verde and brought him to the U.S. because he was trying to keep Venezuelans from starving to death because of U.S. sanctions. Yeah, so they'll go after.
More? This is new to me.
Oh, okay. Okay, go ahead, Jesse.
I just heard about this, and but Alex Saab is a new.
It's been going on for some time, but they just essentially kidnapped him.
Yeah, he was arrested in Cape Verde, which is off the coast of Africa, I believe. And he was arrested there in 2020. The Trump administration had it out for him for several years because what he was doing was helping Venezuela circumvent the sanctions the U.S. has been leveling against them, which are driving the Venezuelan economy and the Venezuelan people into the ground, essentially trying to starve them into submission. And he was working with countries like Iran to provide resources to Venezuela that they couldn't get otherwise because of the sanctions. And Maduro, the Maduro government essentially considers him a diplomat. He is a diplomat for all intents and purposes. But the West, the US in particular, is trying to paint him as some sort of criminal or
the Associated Press literally says Alex Saab, a top fugitive close to Venezuela's socialist government. That's how they described him.
Right. I think that there was a Times piece recently that called him a deal maker. Like, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? He's a diplomat. He's a diplomat, but the US isn't going to call him that because he's not the type of diplomat they like. So yeah, he was extradited a few days ago from Cape Verde, and he's in southern Florida now, where I think he's awaiting
he will now face a kangaroo court in the United States.
That's horrible.
Yeah, but the point of that, and I'm not an expert on all the details there. I'm still learning more as more comes out, but the point with all of that is that the US and its allies will go after anybody who tries to circumvent their power grasp or tries to expose it. And Julian Assange is an example of that. All the other whistleblowers, Misty, that you just mentioned are examples of that. Alex Saab is an example of that. And yeah, I mean, the US obviously still, whether it's a failing empire or not, that's a whole other argument, but it still thinks it has the right to go around the world and take people.
They kidnapped Commander X from Mexico. There's, it's the whole.
Yeah, people it deems enemies of the state.
Yeah,
for lack of a better term.
Anybody who wants more information about Alex Saab, Ben Norton from Gray Zone has done amazing work on that. I would say that's probably my go-to resource if anybody wants. Gray Zone in general does pretty good stuff on Venezuela and Alex Saab. But Ben Norton, when we were in DC. One of the times we were in DC, Ben Norton actually, when we asked him to speak, part of his speech was about Alex Saab. So this all goes really hand in hand. Like Jesse said, anybody who exposes or tries to circumvent empire, they'll come for you. And those are the people we need to stand with. We need to stand with our truth tellers. We need to support Daniel Hale. We need to support Joshua Schull. We need to support Commander X, all of these people, because, for all of history, really, humans, we don't protect our truth tellers. We don't stand with our truth tellers. We usually demonize them, shun them, mock them, whatever. And we should really stop doing that.
Yeah,
we should really stop doing that. That'd be good. So yeah, definitely we need to make more noise about Alex Saab. He was really kidnapped. I mean, it's essentially what that means. He is a diplomat. He should have diplomatic immunity regardless. But he didn't do anything wrong. He was trying to save people, prevent people from starving to death. I mean, what a jerk, right?
It's interesting too that there's that diplomat aspect, which was also apparently key in what caused the US essentially to kidnap Assange from the Ecuadorian embassy. The fact that Ecuador was going to give him diplomatic status so he could leave the embassy and do so without fear of being arrested. And the next day they came and kidnapped him.
That's what a change in government will do. Once they get their puppet dictator in there,
they
can do whatever they want.
So now everybody knows that, but the problem is that you have people in the media like Michael Isikoff who have to inject Russia into everything they touch, and this makes up this story in the narrative and puts it in there like Assange and WikiLeaks were conspiring with Russia to spirit him to Moscow or some bullshit like that. And
yeah, he basically stole Max Blumenthal's piece and then just injected a heavy dose of Russiagate into it and was like, breaking news. No, dude, it was not breaking news. Everybody who's been paying attention to this court or to this case knows that the CIA was plotting to kidnap or kill Julian Assange. They stole his baby's diaper to try to prove that it was his kid. They were literally, they had microphones in the ladies' bathroom. There were cameras everywhere. Everybody was spied on who entered there, journalists included. Everybody was spied on. Their electronic devices were taken and cloned. I mean, it all sounds like a really terrible spy movie, but it's real life. This is what happened. This is what UC Global did to Julian Assange. There were plots to, poison him. There were all kinds of stuff. And so, yes, Michael Isikoff did not break some crazy new bit of information. I'm glad that it was in Yahoo News. It was an article full of bullshit. But at least it got people talking about what was happening and that the CIA was literally planning to kill a journalist. But Michael Isikoff is a joke. He is definitely a propagandist, paid propagandist. And Max Blumenthal did it better. I'm just going to say that. And earlier, like a year and a half earlier, May 2020, and Michael Isikoff comes out in like October and is like, breaking news. Nah, dude, you're late to the party. Yeah, so those court cases or those court dates are October 27th, 28th, 9 a.m. That's BST. I don't think they're on summertime anymore, but it's in UK, in London. So UK time. That's like 4 a.m. here, I think, East Coast. But yeah, this is big. It's a big one. If you can get out there and get loud and do a protest, there are protests. Again, follow Candles for Assange. She just put out an updated thread of all of the global events. I think we're in like 14 different countries at this point or something. So please find a protest near you, be a protest near you.
I'm gonna follow right now. What is it?
Candles for Assange. That's my friend Alex Hills. She does an amazing job. She always like if there's Assange events going on, she keeps them all organized. She makes sure that they're cohesive. She makes graphics for everybody so that they all look the same. And then she promotes them on Twitter. She'll tag myself and other Assange activists, and then we retweet them. But it's Candles for Assange. You can also, if you want to follow her herself, like that's the organizational side of it. But she's Greenweaver Arch, I think. But she's an amazing activist. In New Zealand. She's been on the vigil multiple times. I want to have her on. We should have her on this show, actually.
Oh my God. How was it having Rose McGowan on?
Oh my God. Oh my God. I was so nervous.
I was a little busy. I'm sorry.
Okay. You were. We talked about you on the vigil too, by the way. I made sure everybody
knew. No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. I was like, at the very beginning of the show, I'm like, just so everybody knows, our friend Liv was arrested today. There's fundraising efforts going on. Please find out from Fred Hampton Leftist how you can support her. Yeah, we totally did. So having Rose McGowan on the vigil was crazy. I was so nervous, but it turns out she's really easy to talk to. Like she just opened right up. She was very like open and like she was very cool. Wow. So she actually had a lot of really great ideas as far as activism for Assange. Like Netflix is Netflix boycott Netflix. Fuck those bastards. They're putting out this ridiculous documentary that was made years ago called I Steal Secrets about Julian Assange. It's a propaganda hit piece and they're putting it out like 4 days before his next court date. I'm sure that's not at all planned or timed. I'm sure it's just coincidence, right? It's ridiculous. So fuck Netflix. And Rose brought up the point that if you are near a Netflix headquarters, I know that there's a couple in California. I think there's one in DC. There's multiple ones in the UK. Go protest those fuckers because they're putting out a propaganda hit piece 4 days before this man is set to go to court to fight for his life. Literally fight for his life. He's going to die. He's not doing well. He is not doing well at all. He has essentially been in solitary confinement for 2.5 years. And previous to that, he was in the Ecuadorian embassy for 7 years, essentially on his own. He would have visitors and things like that, but he couldn't leave, no access to sunshine, no access to doctors or dentists. He's got a multitude of health problems and he's not doing good. 2.5 years of solitary confinement will destroy anybody. Yep. He has 2 young children he hasn't been able to see. He was just finally able to like touch them for the first time because of COVID since last year. It was like 8 months, so he couldn't even touch his kids. So yeah, we need to get him the fuck out of prison. He is there for no reason whatsoever. We all owe him a debt of gratitude for exposing the war crimes of empire. And not just that. I mean, it's not just collateral murder. I mean, that's the big one. But he's exposed corporate corruption. He's exposed corruption of governments across the globe, including Russia. So many things that he has released that has really given us a peek behind the curtain that we owe him for. Like the least we could do is fight for his safety at this point. And it's not even bigger than that. It's fighting for our own rights. Like we're on trial. He's the one in the dock, but we are all on trial here.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, that's my speech.
Killed it.
Oh, I get a little ranty when it comes to Assange. I always feel bad. I'm like, if you get me started on Assange, it's going to turn into a rant. Okay.
All right, let's turn on the music.
Okay, Corey Bush. God, that was gross too, wasn't it? Oh. We have legitimate concerns. I'm going to turn on some music so that we can't hear those legitimate concerns. Who the fuck do you think you are? And that slumber party really did us a lot of good, didn't it? Did that help? That was so helpful.
We're not in a housing crisis right now or anything.
No, it was so helpful. Oh, God,
yeah. I saw that tweet you put out, Misty, about the homeless individual who was hit by one of the bulldozers in DC.
Yeah.
Plowing down one of the camps.
They were bulldozing a homeless camp and they bulldozed a human being. It's like the United States, where instead of housing our people, we just bulldoze them. It's fine. Shithole country. Yeah. Okay. So things are great in this country. It's good. Go USA. Go vote. It'll work. Okay. What do you have coming up? I know that Populist Voice has a shit ton of stuff premiering this week or starting this week.
Yes.
So pitch all or what? Not pitch. What the hell what's the word I'm looking for? Promote? No.
I can promote.
All right.
Whatever.
Hype it.
Hype it. That's it.
Okay, so Populist Voice Network, please like, subscribe, YouTube, especially Rockfin. We were trying to move off YouTube because YouTube is censoring us. So. We oh god, I don't even know where I'm gonna find the schedule. The scheduling. Yes, we are launching this week. And we are going to have shows. I believe we have shows coming out every single day. All right, y'all. I might not be able to find the schedule right now. I'm sorry. I should have been able to have it. But
no, it's fine. I'm trying to check the Twitter.
Lot of messages. We have, I believe, 7 new shows coming out. I have a show that will be on Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern called Live Positive, where we talk about current events and add always this positive spin on them about how you can get involved and spread positivity and love and kindness. And then, I'm the network director of the Populist Voice. Oh my God, it's crazy. We got a lot of good stuff going to you to help, promote leftism, left politics, whatever. And get this general strike revolution going. So we're working hard on getting that going. And please like and subscribe. And what else? I will be on Friday. I think we switched between Fred Hampton Leftist and Populist Voice Network when we air Straight Out of Politics at 3 p.m. Eastern with Compton J. I do that on Wednesdays. And then we also have our 5:30 p.m. shows, Conversation with Leftists, on Wednesdays, and then we have the New Left podcast at 8 p.m. on Wednesdays. So we have a lot. Those are our panels. What else? I have a court date coming up on 1/7/22. And that there's a lot that happens between now and then. So we'll see. But I believe that's just I was just emailing my lawyer today. I want to say it's about it's a status hearing. So we've got a long way to go now. So thank y'all. Oh my God, all y'all who have done everything to help get me out and get me here right now. I couldn't have done it without all y'all's love and support. Like I don't even know how to express that enough. But this is just the beginning of the fight for all of us.
Yes.
So please
Do you have a fundraising link for legal fees or anything?
Please, if you want to, you know what? I'll change my thing right now.
We can, we'll post a link to it in the show notes so that everybody can.
Here, and I'm going to rename my thing. Liv.
Yeah, you should.
Venmo is at my Twitter. If you follow me on Twitter, it's the same thing. At Liv Romano.
Isn't it Liv underscore?
Yes,
okay,
thank you.
Yeah.
That is I'm gonna be doing money for legal fees, attorney fees, and mutual aid right now. Because those are my big things that I am very involved in right now. So thank you all so much. Thank you, Misty. Thank you, Jesse. Oh my God, thank you all so much. So much.
Yeah, of course. I'm really excited to see what Populist Voice has coming up. I know that my friend Abby has a show. Abby Brickler has a show, so I'm excited to see her do her thing. And we'll have some of the new hosts or whatever come on this show so we can cross promote, because I like to do that. I love to like build little coalitions with independent media because we need strength in numbers. They're coming after all of us. So if we all stand together, it's going to be harder for them to shut us up. So we all have to band together and put our egos aside, which is easier for some people than it is for others. But I do my best to facilitate those kinds of coalitions because we really do need to stand together on all of that. So thanks for coming on. I'm really excited. And thanks for coming on Bitch this past week. If you guys didn't check that out, that was so much fun. It was on this past Wednesday. We can add a thing to the show notes for that too, I guess. But yeah, it was mostly just we talked about cats a lot.
Rightfully so.
Dude, Bitch is such a weird show though. Like there have been shows where like we talk about when Nika was on, we talked about cats, and then we talked about like college football, and then it was like the most random, like I don't even know what that show was. Like it's not all just politics. It's just we just talk. It's just like, just two people or however many people having a chat. So that's why I like it, because it's not just politics. We can talk about cats for an hour and it's fun. So, because talking about like war crimes and the torture of journalists is kind of a bummer.
Yep.
So, Bitch gives me a little release of just happiness and fun. And sometimes we do just bitch and it's fun. It's like therapy. So thanks for coming on. Thanks for the mutual aid work you're doing. I love to see it. So go to Liv's Venmo, Liv_Romano, and donate what you can. Share the link if you cannot. And yeah, we got to support mutual aid and we got to keep Liv out of jail.
please, y'all.
Yeah. All right. So thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.